A London derby with a real 6-point swing on the table, a title race narrative on the line, and a kick-off set for 4:30 p.m. at Stamford Bridge. If Arsenal arrive on 29 points and Chelsea on 23, a win isn't just 3 gained, it's 3 taken from a direct rival's momentum. That is why this meeting matters now, and why what we learned from Europe this week could write the first chapter of Sunday's story. By the end of this video, you will know the single blueprint most likely to disrupt Arsenal's build-up, the midfield trap that can tilt territory for Chelsea, and the specific moments where Arsenal can turn Chelsea's press into their own attack. You will also leave with a set-piece cue to watch in real time and the late-game substitutions that could change the rhythm inside the final 20 minutes. Why, what, how? Why this matters to you is simple. Derbies decide seasons when the table is tight. The difference between 29 and 32 for Arsenal or 23 and 26 for Chelsea ripples through December and into the new year. What you need to watch are the pressure points that repeat regardless of lineups, the first press, the second ball, and the restart. How it likely unfolds is through 3 battlegrounds: Chelsea's high press, Arsenal's rest defence behind Declan Rice, and the dead ball moments that compress chaos into a single delivery. Why it matters, Part 2. Both clubs have momentum to convert. Chelsea arrive off a statement European night, a 3-0 win over Barcelona built on aggressive press, quick vertical attacks and control out of possession. Arsenal, a day later, handled Bayern with intensity and clarity, scoring from a Bukayo Saka corner and finishing the job late. Both matches were in London, no long-haul flights, no extra travel load. That means more recovery time, more time on the grass for specific match prep, and a staff-level focus on microcycles. Press rehearsal on Friday, set-piece detail on Saturday, and freshness on Sunday. Europe gave us the clearest tactical preview you'll get before a derby. Chelsea's plan against Barcelona wasn't just front-foot energy, it was structure. Enzo Fernández and Moisés Caicedo stepped into passing lanes to bait the ball into pressure. Wingers curved runs to lock the touchline, and the backline held a daring height to squeeze second balls. When the trap sprung, Chelsea went vertical quickly and with numbers. That is the blueprint Maresca can carry into a home derby. Show short, steal central, and run behind the first line before Arsenal reset. How Arsenal answer? Mikel Arteta's team can absorb a press because they train for the next action, not just the first pass. The outball isn't simply to a fullback, it's to the third man who can face forward. Declan Rice is the pivot of that plan. If he receives under pressure, his job is to move the ball in one touch and then move himself to protect the counter. If he screens instead, his line must be staggered so that when the first press breaks, Arsenal have a wall already in place. The detail is to watch where Rice positions on Chelsea's goal kicks. If he starts a step higher, Arsenal want to contest the second ball and repress a step lower, and they want to tempt Chelsea into overcommitting and hit the space they leave. The wide duels feel familiar, but the incentives have shifted. Bukayo Saka's group phase scoring run has been built on repetition of one pattern: receive to feet on the right, drag a defender narrow, and create the angle for either the underlap or the early cross. Chelsea's fullbacks look rejuvenated in Europe, but they were aided by consistent midfield cover. If Marc Correa is isolated 2 versus 1, Chelsea will ask a winger to drop rather than leave Enzo or Caicedo sprinting into the channel. If Chelsea stagger that support correctly, they reduce the number of lines Saka can turn and face. If they mistime it, Arsenal will create overloads and live in the half space. Now the X factor. Estevao just gave Barcelona's left side a long evening by playing with disguise, show to feet, spin in behind and arrive at the far post. Chelsea will want to isolate him 1 versus 1 wherever possible, then pull a centre-back out to create a lane for a runner. Arsenal's answer must be a funnel, not a fence. If they simply double up on the touchline, Chelsea will wall pass around them. But if Arsenal angle the double so the only exit is back toward the halfway line, they can trap their number 8 arriving on the blind side. Watch the body shape of Arsenal's fullback on that side. If the hips are open to the touchline, it's a race. If the hips are closed and the front foot points inside, it's a funnel designed to send Estevao away from the penalty area. Midfield will decide transitions. In Chelsea's best European display under Maresca, the counter-press looked connected. The first player pressures the ball, the second screens the obvious out, and the third anticipates the backward pass to pounce on the second ball. Against Arsenal, that third player becomes critical because Rice turns loose balls into platforms. If Chelsea win more of those second contacts, they'll keep Arsenal penned and create repeat attacks. If Arsenal secure them, Chelsea's aggressive shape can be flipped with one vertical pass to Martinelli or a right-side rotation that frees Saka for the switch. Set pieces could decide the derby. Arsenal's opener against Bayern came from a Saka corner that punished a split-second lapse at the near post. Chelsea drew sustained pressure that forced an own goal from Jules Koundé. Both sequences showed the same principle: crowd the goalkeeper, attack the front zone and force the defending side to clear facing their own goal. In a match where the first phase might cancel out, dead balls can press the advantage. If you want to tell, watch who screens the keeper early. If it is a forward rather than a centre-back, the attacking side is signalling a flat, fast delivery to the near post. Recent history says fine margins. The last two league meetings were separated by almost nothing, a 1-1 at Stamford Bridge last November and a 1-0 to Arsenal in March. That is why error minimisation and timing of substitutions will matter. The tendency in big games is to hold chances until the 70th minute. The smarter play here may be to front-load intensity, then trust the bench for the final 25. Both dugouts have reasons to plan it that way given the midweek exertions. Enter the late-game swing. Cole Palmer's near return transforms Chelsea's bench. Even if he plays only 20 minutes, his ability to appear between the lines and to command set pieces can tilt territory when legs fatigue. The rhythm of the match can change with one controlled possession, where Palmer forces Arsenal to collapse, then invites a foul in that right-hand space. On the other side, Arteta's rotation is built around keeping wide players explosive into minutes 80 and beyond. Freshness on the flanks isn't decoration in this derby, it's a weapon. Let's slow this to the details that separate winning from almost winning. First pass under pressure. If Chelsea's centre-backs find their number 6 early, the press is live. If they bounce it wide too often, Arsenal's wingers will jump the lane and compress the pitch. Body shape on the half-turn. If Arsenal's midfield take first touch across their body, they can break Chelsea's cover shadow and face forward. If they play with the instep and stop the ball, the trap has time to arrive. Distance between lines. If Chelsea hold a brave height behind the ball, they'll keep second contacts close. If they drop 5 yards, Rice will own the middle third. The psychological carryover from Europe cannot be overstated. Chelsea's confidence after handling Barcelona translates into a willingness to press again on Sunday, to believe that one step forward wins the ball instead of fearing the space behind. Arsenal's composure after managing Bayern carries into a readiness to recycle possession under pressure, to trust the next pass rather than force the killer ball too soon. Both teams have proof of concept, and that shortens decision time in the derby's most chaotic moments. Risk versus reward is the table story. For Chelsea, 3 points narrow the gap and signal that European swagger can become domestic consistency. For Arsenal, 3 points distance a rival and keep a title pace. That context shapes choices. Moisés can afford to chase momentum at home, but must protect against a long diagonal that turns his fullbacks. Arteta can accept stretches without the ball if risk defence is intact, because one clean transition can be enough. The calculation is not just tactical, it is mathematical. A win creates a 6-point swing, a draw preserves status but wastes leverage. A loss flips the narrative, and in London, narrative sticks. So, how should you watch this match like a tactician? First, on Chelsea goal kicks, track the position of the double pivot. If both drop parallel, Arsenal will step onto the press and bait the ball wide. If one holds and one steps, the central trap is coming and Chelsea will try to play through the first line quickly. Second, on Arsenal build-up, look for the third man pattern. Centre-back into striker feet, bounce wide, underlap into space. If that lands early, Chelsea's back line will be forced to retreat and the press loses bite. Third, on every corner, count the bodies around the keeper. 2 attackers in the 6-yard box usually means a flat delivery to the front stick and a runner curving across the line of sight. Payoff number 3. If you stay with the game until the final whistle, the late swing is where your patience cashes out. Palmer can change Chelsea's tempo in one touch. A single slipped ball into the inside channel or a set-piece delivery that forces a second phase can decide it. For Arsenal, the late threat is the overload after substitutions, when fresh legs on the right attract bodies and the weak side winger ghosts into the back post. That's where matches like this are won, not only by the starters, but by the clarity of the plan for minutes 75 to 95. One more layer that often goes unnoticed is the training week microcycle. With both European ties in London, staffs can build a targeted sequence, recovery and video on Thursday, sharpness and small-sided press traps on Friday, and a low-load set-piece walkthrough on Saturday. When the week is that clean, detail shows up on Sunday. It shows up in whether the wall on a free kick is positioned a half-step to the left. It shows up in whether the covering midfield anticipates the second ball rather than reacting to it. It shows up in whether a winger knows the exact moment to curve his run to block the passing lane without conceding the switch. In the end, derbies are tests of nerve as much as talent. Arsenal must protect their rest, defence behind Rice, and turn Chelsea's aggression into transitions. Chelsea must trust the press that suffocated Barcelona, win their second balls, and unleash their wide threat in space. Both must attack set pieces like they decide titles, because in matches like this, they often do. Recent head-to-heads tell you there will be little in it. The table tells you a swing here echoes for weeks. The city tells you it's bigger than 3 points. If you found this breakdown useful, tap like so more fans can find it, and subscribe for deep dive match films every week. In the comments, tell me which battle will decide it for you. The Rice screen, the Caicedo-Enzo counterpress, the Saka overload, or the late Palmer cameo. If you want more, queue up our set-piece masterclass next, because if Sunday comes down to one delivery, you'll want to see it before the whistle blows.
I also think that, Maresco really prepped really well for this game. And I think he saw the mistakes that he could see where he could really hurt them. When it comes to the one when he plays Arteta, it's going to be, they know each other so well because, look, one time he worked for a Spanish coach that likes to play the way Barcelona wants to play. And now you're facing a team that has the energy that compete with you. So the game against Arsenal, regardless of, I still say it, it's going to be a tough one. But being at home, they got to take the advantage because Arsenal is really coming to really play the game with them.